Imagine a finance team at a company. They have salaries to pay in 3 countries and invoices from 5 more. They are not thinking about crypto. They are thinking of moving money fast, cheap, and safe. Then a headline flashes, "The dollar is being replaced." Another headline says, "Bitcoin is digital gold." And somewhere in the middle is the quiet truth that almost no one puts on a poster. The pipes of money are changing, even if the label on the money still says dollar. So today, we are going to solve a mystery. If the dollar is still dominant, why are central banks buying so much gold? Why are stablecoins growing fast? And why do so many people treat a piece of code like a vault of metal? Keep that mystery in your head, because the twist is not what the loudest posts online say. The dollar is not disappearing, but in some places, for some uses, it is being routed around, copied into tokens, or backed up with something that feels harder to print. When people say the dollar is being replaced, they usually mix up 2 different jobs of money. One job is spending, paying bills, paying workers, paying for fuel, food, and phones. The other job is saving, where you park value when you do not trust tomorrow. The dollar still dominates a lot of the spending jobs in world trade and finance because it has deep markets and is easy to use at scale. In the foreign exchange market, the US dollar was on one side of 88% of trades in April 2022. And when central banks report their reserve holdings to the IMF, the US dollar still takes the biggest slice. In the 3rd quarter of 2025, the IMF data briefly put the dollar share at 56.92% of disclosed reserves. So, if the dollar is still everywhere, why the replacement talk? Because saving job is under pressure. When inflation bites, when wars and sanctions reshape trade, when politics gets loud, people and governments look for backups. That's where digital gold enters the story. It's not mainly about buying coffee. It's about a new kind of saving story and a new set of money rails that can move fast across borders. To understand the shift, you first have to respect what the dollar already is. It's not just paper. It's a giant system of banks, rules, courts, bonds, and a market so deep that huge trades can happen without breaking the price. This depth matters because big players have big budgets and small risk tolerance. A central bank cannot gamble with a country's reserves. A shipping company cannot hope a payment clears. They need predictability, not drama. The Federal Reserve notes that the dollar's share of international payments on SWIFT is about 50%, and it has even slightly increased in recent years. That's not what replacement looks like. Even trade invoices often point back to the dollar. Research summarized by the Fed suggests the dollar is used for a very large share of trade invoicing across many regions, not only for US trade. Here's your first "you think X but Y" moment. You think digital money means less dollars, but a lot of the fastest growing digital money is actually more dollars wrapped in new clothes. When people call Bitcoin digital gold, they're pointing to one big feature: scarcity. The Bitcoin system is designed so new coins are created on a schedule that keeps shrinking until it stops near a maximum of 21 million coins. About every 4 years, the flow of new Bitcoin is cut in half. In April 2024, the block reward dropped from 6.25 Bitcoin to 3.125 Bitcoin. This is one reason supporters say it feels like a rare resource. In January 10, 2024, the SEC approved spot Bitcoin exchange-traded products. That gave big investors a simpler, regulated way to get exposure without holding Bitcoin themselves. Gold has its own scarcity story too. You can't print it, you have to dig it out, ton by ton, year after year. That's why in rough times, gold keeps showing up as the old-school backup. Here's the second "you think X but Y" moment. You think digital gold is mainly competing with the dollar for spending. In reality, it's mostly competing with other saving options: cash under a mattress, bank deposits, property, and yes, physical gold. And Bitcoin is not the only hard thing people reach for. In the same time period that digital gold became a popular phrase, central banks also ramped up physical gold buying. That's not a vibe, that's policy. Now we get to the part most people miss. While Bitcoin is pitched as not the dollar, stablecoins are usually the opposite. A stablecoin is a crypto token built to hold a steady price. Often one token equals $1. If you live where local money loses value fast, a dollar stablecoin can feel like a life jacket. You can hold it on a phone, you can send it across borders, and you don't need a US bank account to do it. Stablecoins have also grown because traders use them like the cash inside crypto markets. In June 2025, Reuters reported stablecoins reached a record market value around $257.7 billion, boosted by regulation moves in the United States. And here comes the twist. This isn't de-dollarization in the simple sense. If the world moves from bank wires to dollar stablecoins, that can actually spread dollar use into places where it was hard to access before. That's why many regulators treat stablecoins as both a promise and a problem. They can make payments faster and programmable, but they can also create new risks if people rush to redeem them in a panic. Let's go back to the central bank gold question. If the dollar still leads, why buy more gold? Because reserves are not just about returns, they're about survival in a crisis, sanctions risk, market stress, and trust. In June 2025, the World Gold Council reported that more central banks are actively managing gold, and risk management has become a top reason. That's a hidden constraint in plain sight. Officials are paid to be boring, not brave. By November 2025, the World Gold Council's monthly stats said net gold purchases were still strong, with year-to-date net purchases pushing 397 tons. That's not a meme, that's policy. So, in the real world, digital gold is arriving at the same time as actual gold is returning to the center of reserve planning. That should tell you something. The big shift is about trust, not fashion. There's another reason the money story feels like it's changing. The world is tired of slow cross-border payments. Fees can be high, transfers can take days, and when something breaks, nobody knows where the money is stuck. That frustration is a gift to any system that promises speed. It's also why central banks and global groups keep testing new ideas, from fast payment networks to settlement systems where tokenized means money is turned into digital tokens that can move and settle instantly. One famous experiment was Project mBridge, a cross-border platform built with several central banks. It tested the idea of moving money on a shared, secure database instead of passing messages back and forth. By mid-2024, it reached a minimum viable product stage. But even that story has a caution sign. Reuters reported on October 31, 2024, that the BIS stepped back from mBridge, saying the project was not ready for full operations and needed more work. That is another hidden constraint. Moving money is political, and mistakes are expensive. So the race is not old money versus new money. It is old rails upgraded versus new rails competing. And the winner will be the system that feels safe enough for big budgets. There are three friction walls nobody escapes. Wall 1 is volatility. Gold moves, but usually not like a roller coaster. Bitcoin can jump and drop fast, which makes it scary for paying wages or setting prices in shops. Wall 2 is governance and rules. Stablecoins only work at scale if people believe the backing is real and the redemptions will happen. That is why new laws and global standards keep showing up in stablecoin discussions. Wall 3 is energy, capacity, and security. Bitcoin's core design trades speed for security, and it relies on miners who spend electricity and money to protect the network. That makes it tough to be the world's everyday payment system. These walls explain why the replacement is quiet. big institutions do not flip a switch. They test, they pilot, they regulate, and they backstop. And they keep one hand on the old system while they explore the new one. So is the dollar being replaced? Here is the most honest answer. Not in one piece and not everywhere. The dollar is still the biggest reserve currency in the IMF data, and it still dominates major markets like foreign exchange trading. But parts of the money world are splitting into layers. For official reserves, some countries diversify a little. For savings, some people buy gold and some buy Bitcoin. For moving money, more flows may shift to faster systems, including stablecoins and upgraded bank rails. That is why the digital gold idea feels powerful. It gives a simple story in a complicated world. You can't print it. But the world does not run on simple stories. It runs on budgets, laws, and the fear of breaking the system. And don't miss the biggest irony. Some of the loudest anti-dollar technology is building new ways to hold and send dollars. That means the dollar can lose share in one place and gain reach in another at the same time. So the real question is not, will the dollar die? The real question is, when the next shock hits, what do people trust and what rails still work when everyone is rushing for the exit? What should you watch next? Watch stablecoin rules, because rules decide whether stablecoins stay a niche tool or become part of everyday payments. Watch how much backing is required, what audits look like, and how redemptions are handled in stress. Watch gold, because central banks vote with tons, not tweets. When official data shows steady net buying, it signals a long-term desire for a reserve asset that sits outside another country's liability. Watch the plumbing projects, like faster payments and tokenized settlement platforms. Global groups keep pushing the idea that tokenization and better cross-border systems could upgrade the money system without throwing it away. And watch the story people tell themselves. In every era, when trust shakes, humans reach for something that feels solid. Sometimes that's gold, sometimes it's dollars, sometimes it's a digital token with a hard cap and a global network. Because in the end, money is a confidence machine. The dollar's power comes from scale and trust built over decades. Digital gold is a new bet on trust built by code and shared rules. The quiet change is that the world is now testing both at once.